Let me start by asking you to imagine yourself. Imagine yourself, but just a little bit different. Maybe you have a visual impairment. Maybe you have cerebral palsy. Maybe you have paraplegia and use a wheelchair. Now rewind your day to this morning and redo all the things you did. You roll out of bed, you jump in the shower, make some breakfast, put your clothes on, and you make your way over here. Now, how much extra time would you have needed? Would you be able to stick to your daily patterns if you had a visual impairment, cerebral palsy, or paraplegia? Would someone have had to help you? And how would you even have made it here? Now, did you ever ask yourself these questions before? Because I hadn't. Mobility and accessibility are two things that some of us don't ever have to deal with, or not until we're a certain age, while for others, it's their everyday life. I kind of randomly stumbled into it. 3 years ago, I was studying textiles, and for my dissertation, my supervisor, a wheelchair user herself, mentioned overheating to me. I had no idea, but a lot of people who have a spinal cord injury have trouble regulating their body temperature. Simply put, when we exercise or do an activity, our body becomes too warm, and it sends a message to our brain. Our brain then sends a message back to start sweating. When you have a spinal cord injury, that message line is broken. That means that you can no longer sweat below your lesion. Could you imagine doing your gym routine without the ability to sweat? You could develop hyperthermia and your heart could quite literally stop beating. Some athletes are currently being sprayed with a water hose to cool down. So I find myself thinking, if this is such a huge unaddressed issue and I'm fully unaware of it, then what other issues are there out there that I'm fully unaware of? And most importantly, what other issues need urgent solving? So for me, my eyes were certainly opened. As a result of my dissertation, I created WheelAir. WheelAir is a battery-powered airflow backrest cushion that sits on manual wheelchairs. It's basically a plug-and-play solution that has a cushion that improves your posture and makes you more comfortable, and a battery-powered unit underneath that pushes air onto the user's back. It's effective, but it's a very simple solution, but it's a simple solution that is changing lives. One of your users told me that she was able to sit in the sun for the first time in 20 years without overheating. Now, this is great, but it should have happened a lot sooner. If you look at some statistics, the UK government published numbers that 11 million people in the UK are currently living with a long-term illness, impairment, or disability. 11 million, that's more than double the population of Scotland. The most commonly reported impairments are those that affect mobility. Now, if you look, for example, when I made WheelAir, all of a sudden I saw wheelchair users everywhere. It's kind of like when you buy a jacket and all of a sudden you see everyone wearing that jacket. But with my awareness of wheelchair users also came an awareness of accessibility, or more importantly, how inaccessible this society is to those who have a disability. When we look back at the numbers from earlier, a quarter of these people, of the 11 million, have said that they have little or no choice or control over their daily lives. And 1 in 5 have reported issues with accessing transport. 1 in 5. If you look at those 11 million, that becomes a huge number of people who struggle every day to get from A to B. And when you look at mobility and you translate it into accessibility, the world as we know it becomes one huge obstacle. First, second, and third story flats without lift access. Pavements with lampposts right in the middle. Pavements without lowered curbs. People have to phone a train station 24 hours before taking that train. And the list goes on and on. Now, these are things that I completely was unaware of, but all it takes for you now to be aware of these things was a couple of seconds of placing yourself in someone else's shoes. Because when you look at the word disability, it literally means a lack of ability. Is that really true, or have we just created a society in which those who are just a little bit different are made to feel less able? You know, when you put the focus on ability, so much more becomes possible. Now, when you translate that into entrepreneurship, people solve issues that are visible to them. You know, people wanted to start calling while they were on the move, so the mobile phone was invented. Then, if you look at simple solutions, For example, people wanted easier payments, so they made wireless payments. If you look at wheelchair and disability products, more disability in general, a lot of products like wheelchairs were originally designed by people who have that disability. But what if all of us saw these issues too? And what if all of us were able to make solutions? If we were all thinking about these issues, we could create a lot more radical and true innovation at a much greater speed. I'm not saying we can all do this in 2018, but I'm not saying we have to invent the wheel. Sometimes a small change too can make a significant impact on someone else's life. So what I want you to take away today is this. Next time you're going to the beach, try accessing it in a wheelchair. Next time you're in the supermarket, try reaching for your favorite cereal on the top shelf from a seated position. Just place yourself in someone else's shoes for a second. Maybe it will just spark more consideration and awareness, but maybe, just maybe, it might be the start of a beautiful social entrepreneurship journey, a journey that could impact the lives of millions. Thank you.